हाय फ्रेंड्स, आमर काउंसिल एग्जाम फेब्रुआरी लास्ट वीक रे हवाक जाउछि। तेणु काउंसिल एग्जाम पाई प्लस टू सेकेंड ईयर पिला मानक पाई लॉजिक रा सिलेक्शन क्वेश्चन आज मु अपलोड करिया जाउछि। ए लॉजिक रा सेकेंड जो सिलेक्शन क्वेश्चन दिया जिवो प्रथमे तार क्वेश्चन रा पैटर्न ता जाने दरकार। क्वेश्चन रे चारोटी ग्रुप हेगी पड़िबो। चारोटी ग्रुप ए, ग्रुप बी, ग्रुप सी, ग्रुप डी। ग्रुप ए रे हमर एमसीक्यू पड़िबो 21 टी एवं से 21 रे आमे 21 एक नंबर लेखा हेले 21 नंबर वाला। ग्रुप बी रे हमर पड़िबो 7टी शॉर्ट टाइप 2 मार्क लेखा एवं ग्रुप सी रे 3 मार्क लेखा 7टी एवं ग्रुप डी रे आमे 3टी क्वेश्चन आंसर देबा 8 मार्क लेखा। तेणु आज मु ग्रुप ए आउ ग्रुप बी रो सिलेक्शन छाड़ुछि। या परे ग्रुप सी आउ डी रो अपलोड करिबि। तबे वर्तमान आमे देखिबा एमसीक्यू मु 26 टी देउछि। ए 26 टी के भलो कर प्रैक्टिस करथिले तमे खुशी रे भलो मार्क रखि पारिबो एवं सिलेक्शन तमरो बहुत निश्चित भाव प्राय 70% तमर आसीबार संभावना अछि। तेबे ग्रुप ए एक नंबर रे कोन व्हिच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज ए वीकेंड मोड। व्हिच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज ए वीकेंड मोड। तार ऑप्शन देछि डारी, डाटीसी, सेसारे, सिलारोट। बी हाउ मेनी valid modes are there in all figures? How many valid modes are there in all figures? Option रे 32, 64, 19, 256. C which mode of third figure cannot be directly reduced? Which of the third figure cannot be directly reduced? Option देला डायरेक्टी, डाटीसी, डिसामिसी, बोकारो। D which general syllogistic rule states that from two negative premises no conclusion follows? आउथरे पढ़ी दोछि which general syllogistic rule states that from two negative premises no conclusion follows? ऑप्शन हला रूल 3, रूल 4, रूल 5, रूल 6। E point out the fallacy in the following argument. Night is the cause of day. Night is the cause of day. यार तमे एटा कोन फालासी हबो ताकू तमे कहिबो। यार ऑप्शन देखो illicit generalization, ignoratio elenchi, fallacy of taking co-effects as cause, none of these. F what is the conclusion of a simple constructive dilemma? What is the conclusion of a simple constructive dilemma? Option हला alternative proposition, hypothetical proposition, disjunctive proposition, categorical proposition. G which experimental method is essentially a method of deduction? Which experimental method is essentially a method of deduction? Option हला method of residue, method of agreement, method of difference, concomitant variation. H to which mode directly can be reduced to directly? To which mode directly can be reduced to directly? Option हला बारबरा, डारी, सिलारेंट, फेरियो। I which term is distributed in an I proposition? Which term is distributed in an I proposition. Option है subject, both subject and predicate, neither subject nor predicate. J. Who had said truth is God? Who had said truth is God? Option है गांधीजी, बुद्ध, जैन, none. K. How many forms of dilemma are there? How many forms of dilemma are there? Option है 3, 4, 5, 6. L. Name the function of the following expression. Name the function of the following expression. P equivalence Q. এটা লেখা আছে তার নামটা তুমি লিখিব কোন অপশন হলা ইকুইভ্যালেন্স ফাংশন, ইমপ্লিকেটিভ ফাংশন, কন্ট্রাডিক্টরি ফাংশন, ডিসজাংটিভ ফাংশন. M. How is the figure of a syllogism determined? How is the figure of a syllogism determined? Option है by the position of a major term in the premises, by the position of a middle term, by the position of a minor term. M. Name the figure of the mode Philipton. Name the figure of the mode Philipton. Option first figure, second figure, third figure, fourth figure. N. In syllogism, the predicate of the conclusion is said to be. In syllogism, the predicate of the conclusion is said to be. Option है major term, minor term, middle term. O. Which experimental method is known as a statistical method? Which experimental method is known as a statistical method? Option है method of agreement, method of difference, method of concomitant variation, and method of residue. P. A proposition can be a conclusion in which figure? A proposition can be a conclusion in which figure? Option है first figure, second figure, third figure, fourth figure. Q. Which figure is called perfect figure by Aristotle? Which figure is called perfect figure by Aristotle? Option है first figure, second figure, third figure, fourth figure. R. Demaris is a valid mode in what figure? Demaris is a valid mode in which figure? তাহলে ইয়ার অপশন গুড়িক হল ফার্স্ট ফিগার, সেকেন্ড ফিগার, থার্ড ফিগার, ফোর্থ ফিগার. S. If both Q and P are false, then what will be the truth value of a P implication Q? If both Q and P are false, then what will be the truth value of a P implication Q? Option है true, false, both true and false, none. T. Which experimental method of a meal requires only 2 instances? Which experimental method of a meal requires only 2 instances? Option है method of agreement, method of difference, method of residue, joint method. यहाँ पर U. How many propositions are there in narrow inference? How many propositions are there in narrow inference? Option गुड़ी कहला 3, 4, 5, 6. B. If a major term is distributed in the conclusion without being distributed in the premises, then which fallacy occurs? If a major term is distributed in conclusion without being distributed in the premises, then which fallacy occurs? Option गुड़ी कहला illicit major, illicit minor, undistributed middle, none of these. W. How many experimental methods have been introduced by Mill? How many experimental methods have been introduced by Mill? Option है 3, 4, 5, 6. X. A negative proposition always distributes which term? A negative proposition always distributes which term? Option है subject term, predicate term, both subject and predicate term, neither subject nor predicate term. Y. How many valid moods are there in third figure? How many valid moods are there in third figure? Option है 3, 4, 5, 6. Z. If a function is always false, that is called option गुड़िक है tautology, contingent, equivalence, contravalid. आउ थे पढ़ी दूची if a function is always false, that is called option गुड़िक है tautology, contingent, equivalence, contravalid. एथिरे ग्रुप ए रे मु 26 टी दे देछि एमसीक्यू ए 26 टी के आमे जदी प्रैक्टिस कर दबा तेबे हमर निहाती 100% प्राव पडिबो एथिरे परीक्षा रे ए तक टी मन देकी पढिबो तापरे आमे ग्रुप बी जिबा हमर 21 टी आमे आंसर करबा तो 26 टी देछि या भितर 21 टी आंसर करबा एवं एक नंबर लेखे आमे 21 नंबर पाइबा तापरे ग्रुप बी रे आमे 2 नंबर रो 7टी करबा को पड़िबो ताले ग्रुप बी रो सिलेक्शन गुडी को दोची स्टेट द स्पेशल रूल्स ऑफ अ फिगर 3 थर्ड फिगर जो स्पेशल रूल गुडी को रहिछि ताकू सब आमे मुखस्त करथिबा एवं से गुडी को स्टेट द स्पेशल रूल्स ऑफ अ फिगर 3 बी रे व्हाट इज द fallacy of a composition? What is the fallacy of a composition? C. What is the material overson? What is the material overson? D. Give an example of a illicit measure. Give an example of a illicit measure. E. What is undistributed middle? What is undistributed middle? F. Construct truth table for implicative function. Construct truth table for implicative function. G. What are the valid modes of a figure 4? What are the valid modes of a figure 4? H. What is binary constant? What is binary constant? I. What is logical constant? What is logical constant? J. What is reduction? What is reduction? K. What is argumentum ad verecundium? What is argumentum ad verecundium? L. What is the fallacy of accident? What is the fallacy of accident? M. What is the fallacy of post hoc ergo propter hoc? What is the fallacy of post hoc ergo propter hoc? N. Give an example of a simple constructive dilemma. Give an example of a simple constructive dilemma. O. What is dilemma? What is dilemma? P. Mills one principle of elimination. Mills one principle of elimination. Q. What is vyapti? What is vyapti? R. What is 10th syllogistic rule? What is 10th syllogistic rule? ये गला ग्रुप बी ପାଇଁ सिलेक्शन ये जो सिलेक्शन गुड़िक ग्रुप ए आउ ग्रुप बी देली या परे ग्रुप सी आउ डी को अपलोड करी एवं सी डी अपलोड सरला परे ए चारिटाक ग्रुप रो अपलोड सरला परे मु यार आंसर गुड़िक मध्य पठेबी एमसीक्यू रो आंसर तापर पर पठेबी तुम माने एमसीक्यू रो आंसर गुड़िक ठीक कर रखिथिबो जते बेले ताकू मु आंसर देगी पठेबी से तुम्हें करेक्शन करिवो केते दूर तमर केतरा ठीक होची केतरा भूल होची हो थैंक यू।